Hey guys, in this video we're going to be taking a cheeky little peek at a nice little bit of geometry, finding coordinates of the midpoint of line segments. So let's get cracking. So first of all, what is a line segment? Well, a line segment is a straight line connecting 2 points together. So the difference between a line and a line segment, lines are infinite. Say we had the line y equals 2x. That would go all the way up to positive infinity on the y-axis and all the way down to minus infinity on the y-axis as well. And it would always go, it would also go from side to side, negative infinity to positive infinity on the x-axis. A line segment, much smaller, it just connects 2 points together. So a line between A and B, that's a line segment. And then secondly, what are midpoints? So there's no funny business going on here. A midpoint is exactly how it sounds. It is the middle point between two other points. So we usually call it M. Midpoint, makes sense. And again, it is nothing more complicated than the point exactly halfway between two other points. Okay, so let's say we were given this example then. Now we were asked to find the coordinates of the midpoint of this line segment. So the line segment is going from -3, 0 over to 1, 2. Now when they're drawn on a graph, really you can see the midpoint, but how would we do it? Well, we need to know how many places across we're going. So we're going across here. So we're going across by 4, and then we're going up by 2. So a midpoint is exactly halfway along and halfway up. So if we're going across by 4 squares, the midpoint is going to be across by 2 squares. So the x coordinate is going to be -1. And then the y coordinate, we're going up by 2. So the y coordinate is going to be +1. So if we draw those lines up, we can see they connect there at the midpoint on the green line. So the coordinates of the midpoint here are -1, 1. Okay, let's have a look at another one on the graph. So again, find the coordinates of the midpoint of this line segment. Well, this time we're going across from -3 to 4. So we're going across here. So how many are we going across? Well, we're going across by 7, and then we're going down from here to get down there. So, what's half of 7? Well, it's 3.5. So our midpoint along x, the x coordinate of our midpoint, is going to be 3.5 along from -3. Now that's going to take us to +0.5, or really when we're playing geometry we leave it as a fraction. So the x coordinate is going to be there, and then we're going down by 6. What's half of 6? It's 3. So our y coordinate is going to be 1. So the coordinates of our midpoint here are 1/2, 1. And we can see if we draw the line across there, again they meet on the midpoint of the line. Now you're not always given line segments on a graph. You might just be given the coordinates, or you might just be given a line segment that doesn't have a coordinate grid behind it. Now luckily there's a formula to find the coordinates of a midpoint, and it looks a lot scarier than it is. So let me just walk you through it. I promise you when we do the examples after this, it's so much simpler than this makes it look. So when we have a line segment between two coordinates, say x1, y1 and x2, y2, those 1s and 2s don't mean anything mathematical. They're just labels to tell us which pair of coordinates they belong to. So x1, y1 are our first set of coordinates, x2, y2 are our second set of coordinates. Then to find the midpoint, we take the average of each pair of separate coordinates. So we take the average of the x coordinates and we take the average of the y coordinates for finding the mean. So what we do, we add the x coordinates together, divide by 2, that's our x coordinate of the midpoint, and we add our y coordinates together, divide by 2, that gives us the y coordinate of the midpoint. So algebraically then, the coordinates of the midpoint are x1 plus x2, all divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. As I said, this makes it look so much more complicated, so let's get going with some examples. Okay, find the midpoint of this line segment. Well, let's say the 5, 8 is our first pair of coordinates, x1, y1, and 15, 20 are our second pair of coordinates. Then all we need to do, the x coordinate is going to be 5 plus 15 divided by 2. And the y coordinate is going to be 8 plus 20 divided by 2. Now if we sort that out, well, 5 plus 15 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. And for the y coordinate, 8 plus 20 is 28. Divide that by 2 and we get 14. So the coordinates of the midpoint of that line segment is 10, 14. Jobs are good. Okay, find the midpoint of this line segment. So this time, let's take minus 1, 3 to be our x1, y1, and 2 minus 5 to be our x2, y2. It doesn't matter at all which coordinate you choose to be x1, y1 and which pair you choose to be x2, y2. Doesn't matter at all. So to find the x coordinate, we're going to do minus 1, add 2, divided by 2, and then the y coordinate is going to be 3, add minus 5, so 3 minus 5 over 2. So let's sort that out. Minus 1 add 2 is positive 1, so the x coordinate is going to be a half. Again, really when you're playing with geometry, always leave your numbers as fractions. Don't convert that to 0.5. It's not wrong to, but it's nicer to keep things in fractions, believe me. And then 3 minus 5 is minus 2. Minus 2 divided by 2 is minus 1. So the coordinates of our midpoint here are 1 half minus 1. Cracking. Okay, you might not even get a nice drawing of your line segment. You might just get given 2 coordinates here. So find the midpoint of the line connecting at point A, 7 minus 1, and point B, 9 minus 6. So, we'll take A to be our x1, y1, and B to be our x2, y2. So, nothing's changed. Just because we don't have the drawing of the line segment, really doesn't matter. We don't need that. So, to find the coordinates of the midpoint, we are going to do 7 add 9 divided by 2 and minus 1 add minus 6. Now minus 1 minus 6 like that divided by 2. Now if we sort those out, 7 add 9 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that's the x coordinate of our midpoint. Now minus 1 minus 6 is minus 7. So our y coordinate is minus 7 halves like that. Cracking. Okay, slightly different one here. So the point M, which has coordinates 8, 7, is the midpoint of AB, and A has coordinates 5, 2. Find the coordinates of point B. Okay, so this is a bit different because we already know the midpoint. We're not being asked to work it out. But we're going to need to use it to work out the coordinates of B. So, again, it's pretty simple to be honest. When we're talking about going along X, how do we get from an X coordinate of 5 to an X coordinate of 8? We go along by 3, don't we? So remember, the midpoint is exactly halfway along and halfway up between 2 points. So if to get from A to M, we go along by 3, to get from M to B, we also go along by 3. So the x-coordinate of B is going to be 8 plus 3, which is 11. And then how do we get from a y-coordinate of 2 to a y-coordinate of 7? Well, we go up by 5. So again, we have to do that exact thing from the midpoint. We're going to go up by 5. So if we add 5 to 7, we get 12. So the coordinates of B are 11, 12. Now we can even check that answer. Let's find the midpoint of AB and make sure we get 8, 7 for the midpoint. So we would get 5, add 11 over 2 for the x-coordinate, and 12 add 2 over 2 for the y-coordinate. Now 5 add 11 is 16, 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 12 add 2 is 14, divided by 2 is 7, which is indeed the coordinates we had for our midpoint. So we can have a nice smiley face because we know we've got the right answer. Okay, this guy is our last adventure in the midpoint video. So M is the midpoint of AB and CD. Find the coordinates of D. So this might look quite intimidating, but don't panic. Look at the question, what do we know? What can we do with the information that we know? So we know that M is the midpoint of line AB and line CD. Now, as far as AB is concerned, we have all the information we need to work out the coordinates of M. And in fact, that is the only thing that we can do. So let's do that. So, to work out the coordinates of M, we're going to do minus 4, add 2, divided by 2, that's our x-coordinate, minus 2 add 4, divided by 2 for our y-coordinate. Now, minus 4 add 2 is minus 2, and then divide that by 2, we will get minus 1, and minus 2 plus 4 is positive 2, divide that by 2, we get positive 1 for our y-coordinate. So, the coordinates for our midpoint are minus 1, positive 1. So, that's all that we need line AB for. We're done with line AB now. Now we know the coordinates of C and the coordinates of M. So we have all the information that we need to work out the coordinates of D. So now we're doing what we did in the last question. We're reverse engineering a little bit. So, starting at C, how many do we go across to get to M? Well, we're going from an x-coordinate of minus 2 to an x-coordinate of minus 1. So, we're going to the right by 1. So if we do that to get from C to M, we have to do exactly the same to get from M to D. So, what is minus 1 plus 1? Well, it's 0. So the x-coordinate of point D is 0. Now let's find the y-coordinate. So how do we get from the y-coordinate of 2 at point C down to a y-coordinate of 1 at point M? Well, we minus 1. So, to get from M to D, we do exactly the same thing. So, 1 take away 1 is, happy days, it's 0 as well. So the coordinates of point D are 0, 0. Now again, we can check that. Let's make sure the coordinates of C and D will give us the coordinates of M. So, coordinates of M using C and D are going to be minus 2, add 0 over 2 for our x-coordinate, and 2 plus 0 divided by 2 for our y-coordinate. Now minus 2 add 0 is minus 2, divide that by 2, we get -1. And for our y coordinate, 2 plus 0 is 2 divided by 2 gives us +1. Happy days, -1, 1 are the coordinates of the midpoint, therefore we know we're right. Okay guys, that's midpoints. Hope you've had fun, hope it's useful. Was this video helpful? If so, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment letting me know how you get on. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss any videos. For any further information, you can find me on Facebook or Twitter. Search for Maths with Melv. Cheers guys.